Grand Rising, everyone. So today I'm going to talk about cord cutting. And I meant to do this over the weekend on Sunday because of the new moon, because the new moon is the greatest time to do this. It's not the greatest. It is, but it's not the only time you can do it. However, it's a great time to do it because the new moon is a great time to release things, people, places, and things, situations that that aren't a part of your highest good. That's the best way to describe it. And so I also want to say about cord cutting. Cord cutting can do many things, but the most important thing it does is it can release bad energy, bad situations, mainly your reaction to other people. So you're not hurting anybody when you cut the cord. You're basically allowing yourself, you're distancing yourself, okay? So you're practicing detachment. Now, there is cord cutting that literally releases you and another person, a toxic connection. That's really the best reason to do it during the new moon. And then when you do that, you would want to do a mantra that specifically talks about releasing this person from, whatever spiritual connections, lessons that you were supposed to learn together. The spiritual contract is basically what that is. We all have them. We have them with our parents, our siblings, our other relatives, people that we've interacted with, whether they're our friends or not our friends. There's a contract. For example, you might not get along with somebody at your job, and they're there to teach you a lesson and you're there to teach them. Kind of like what I was talking about with the professor and the spiritual lessons and being in spiritual school. These contracts are here because we're here to learn. We're not here specifically to play in the matrix and be oblivious to the real meaning of life. We're here to learn spiritual lessons so that we can grow and evolve in a spiritual way. And so cutting the cord during the new moon is a way of releasing or ending a contract. And so that's why I was going to try to do this on Sunday. However, I was still in I'm on vacation, lazy mode. And if it had been warmer outside, I would have gone for a walk, done it in nature, all that beautiful stuff. But I'm still getting used to 30-degree weather. And so I opted to wait. And so here I am talking to you guys about cutting the cord. And, I've been practicing cord cutting for a long time. During my first awakening in my early 20s, I read books and books. I just did so much reading up on spirituality and all these things. And I discovered a book that talked about the healthy process of cord cutting with people that you care about. And so that's what I'm going to talk about today, because even though you have the 3 days before and the 3 days after a full moon or a new moon for that energy, cord cutting can be done at any time. Anytime you feel like you're too close to a situation emotionally and you need to take a step back and not react to people, places, or things, in particular people, because we're talking about people. Let's just face it. We're not talking about places. If you don't like a place, just don't go, right? If you don't want to see a situation on TV, turn the TV off. The TV is actually a part of the matrix anyway. It's a way to brainwash you and hypnotize you into not looking at reality of life. And so back to people and cutting cords. When you are feeling too triggered by things that people are doing, the best way to release yourself is by cutting the cord. And so I've been practicing this with people that I care about for a long, long time. And then I realized there's another aspect to cutting the cord, which are people who do harmful things, who are toxic, who do not have your best interest in mind. And that's a different cutting the cord, but the process is similar. And so I'm going to talk about that. And there's two different ways you can do it. I have always done it through visualization. So I learned this visualization during my first awakening in my early 20s from the book I read. And it was very simple. You really basically just visualize a door, and you basically visualize yourself outside, and you visualize yourself digging up the root of that relationship, like it's a root, like a weed root, the toughest roots to get rid of. And sometimes those roots are really hard. What you're doing is you're digging the root up, and you're putting that root in a trash can. And then you're burying the trash can. You're taking it and you're burying it. And sometimes the root is hard to dig up. Like, depending on the relationship, you might, while you're doing this visualization, you might have to use, maybe you can use scissors. Sometimes if it's a strong relationship or a relationship you've had for a long time, sometimes you have to do the digging up and digging up the root is elusive. And sometimes you have to use other tools. Like sometimes you have to visualize yourself using an axe, or maybe a saw, an electric saw, whatever it takes to cut that cord. So you cut the cord, and then you dig up the roots from the other part, from the other end, not your end, the other end. And you dig up those roots and you put them in a trash can. And then you bury the trash can. Visualize yourself burying the trash can underground. And then you walk through a door. And you know what? I might do a part 2 to this, because I want to make sure that I told you specifically all the right things to do. I know you're supposed to cut the cord first, however you need to cut it. Scissors, axe, chainsaw, whatever it takes. And then you dig up that root, the root from the ground, and you put that in a trash can. And then I think you walk through the door. And then when you walk through the door is closed. You close the door. You're still outside. You're just on the other side of this door, this other place. And then you bury the trash can. And you can still love people, but you have to learn how to love some people at a distance, because they're quite often they're in up to their eyeballs in trauma, and they don't know how to love you back. And a person who doesn't know how to love you back is a dangerous person, not because they want to be necessarily, but they don't know any other way. They're where they are, and they're going to trauma bond with you based on what their trauma is. They're going to project it because they haven't healed. And you can't make somebody heal. If they don't want to heal, you have to leave them where they are in love and cut that cord. So I apologize. I know this is kind of like crazy, messy, and I will do a part 2 maybe this weekend when I have time.